kids can be kind of cruel in a way. Not that I really understood the word all that much, when you were real young, but as
Hmm.
you get older, you do, and you start seeing how you're not being accepted in certain group. When I think back on that, I was like not noticing even that the groups were forming, and I could participate in any one of those groups. And later I realized that it wasn't because that they accepted me into all these groups, but were more using me to send messages back and forth. And then I felt like I was outside of all of them. So there was no acceptance. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Oh my God. That somatic part of me is holding space for that younger version of you because it's very resonant to some aspects of my childhood in a different regard, right? We have our own experiences. I was on the outside. I didn't have awareness from the home side to really build relationships in school and around me. So I tied what I could do with my acceptance, not who I was, what I could do for them. And
Oh, yes, yes.
yeah. And versus saying like, oh, I am just who I am. I can just be accepted for who I am, for liking this, for, just being who I am. But no, it was more like, oh, I can just do all these things for you. And it just piggybacked me in becoming a people pleaser and like craving acceptance from others versus like walking into a situation, having acceptance for myself already.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think we all grow into that, like where we are on some level, maybe not everybody. I mean, some people probably just come into the world with such confidence and they just carry it through their whole lives. But I feel like we go through a processes as people, like we hit the teenage years and these things have already transpired and it affects the way we think and feel about ourselves. And then we spend the next few years, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 for some people, or maybe never for others, ever getting to the point where you accept yourself for exactly who you are, what you have to offer, and you put value on that.
And with that, how do you then place yourself into a society seeking that acceptance outwardly? You don't know who you are. It's like I became a shell of who everyone needed me to be versus expressing me. So then the world was happening to me, not for me.
Right. That's a great way of putting it. Everything's happening to you.
And I believe that's like the first stage of awakening, that there's a different higher awareness guiding us.
Right.
And with that, I fell into a deeper layer of acceptance that every person, place, situation was on a divine path. And when resistance arose, it was redirecting me. Now, the further I walked into the resistance, knowing that the emotion was arising in my body, obviously the further around me things collapsed. And that's another part of accepting. I have to accept that that person that I've had in my life for the last 7 years is actually making me sick. I'm choosing
Yeah.
to accept that the people, maybe the situations, my job, who knows what it is, isn't for your highest good. I had to accept that both my parents weren't going to be with me the rest of my journey.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And now they're here guiding me. So the book I'm actively writing is called A Synchronistic Path Through Grief. And it's a journey of acceptance because like I get to now say that grief in duality is grace. Having grace for the illness that was gifted to me. Accept that your ego or the personality that you've created to fit in from wanting to be accepted isn't always the person that's meant to move forward.
Oh, most definitely. It's not meant to move forward.
That's another layer of acceptance.
You're not going to experience personal growth being the same person you were in the past. You have to release and let go, accept things the way they are, right? We're going to accept this is the way they've been. This is what they are, but that does not mean that I have to move into my tomorrow being that or living that any longer. I am going to choose something new for myself. And then we're separating so now it doesn't matter if I'm accepted by anybody, right? Now in my life, I don't care if you accept me into your little group or your little club or because I'm not attaching my worth to that any longer. I'm
My
not
worth
right.
is separate from who I am. It's priceless. That's what you're going to say. It's inherent, which means you were born with that. That comes with the hardware of you being in this human experience.
Yeah.
Your worth.
That's a big issue, I think, with a lot of people, is that they've become like they have accepted. In other words, they're willing to tolerate the circumstances in their life and still stay in this place of powerlessness. So they have taken acceptance of what is as what will always be, without realizing that they have the power even to change that.
So if you clean up your mindset, you discover your power.
Yes.
Discovering your resourcefulness and deepening the trust within yourself first. So that's self-acceptance. You can't love something until you can accept it. That means yourself. That means every part of you that in the past you shoved down or said, I'll deal with that later. I'm just going to ignore that happened or ignore that existed. If you keep looping about it, it requires energy. Every thought in your brain requires energy, and you take action on that. And if you don't, it just sits in you. So it's like,
it destroys you from the inside out.
and it did. It made me extremely ill for the first 33 years of my life. The power is in you. It's 80% within you. The other 20% is your strategy, you. So you have to do the inner work, right? Acceptance comes with the inner work. What does that mean? Everyone talks about the shadow or inner child or reparenting. It's like 3 layers of a category within yourself that you're able to start to pull back and accept. You had no control over your childhood. Why are you judging yourself for what you didn't know then, what you know now? I forgive myself for judging myself for what I didn't know then that I know now, because the truth is I'm learning. I'm new at this. It's okay to be exactly where I'm at.
So it's a journey all the whole way. I mean, it's not like you accept it all and move forward as a brand new person. You are accepting this aspect and that aspect, and now you're a better person than you were before. And that's a lifelong journey. I think you just keep having to accept new things about yourself. No matter how good you get at this, it's still like, oh, little things still will pop up, and you have to say, well, I'm not going to judge myself about this. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm going to notice it and shift it and change it. And it's just a forever thing if you choose it. Otherwise, you are accepting and tolerating everything exactly the way it is. And I tell you, there was a choice point in my life. I remember specifically thinking that I don't want this any longer. Right?
Yes.
I refuse to accept this as my normal. I'm not going to carry this with me 1 minute longer and letting it go.
I found myself in the past noticing what those were, but now, like in the spiritual work, as I'm working through this, I have to remind myself to slow down and accept that it doesn't happen all at once. You really help with that. And what I'm realizing is each stage is important. And those choice points I would crave. I'm like, can I just get to the choice point? Just let me choose. And I'm like, well, you have to feel it to heal it. Why are you rushing? And
that's one aspect of it. Say if you were a smoker, okay, and you are saying, oh, I'm going to quit smoking.
Beautiful. I have
tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll quit smoking tomorrow. So tomorrow you get up, you throw your cigarettes away, and you decide this is the day I'm going to quit, and you make it through the day, and then the next day you stop at the store and buy cigarettes. You haven't hit a choice point when that's the case, right? That is acceptance of what is, and I'm going to tolerate it. You can hit a choice point anytime you decide to, right? You can say, I am quitting today. That's a choice point. I'm quitting today, and no matter what, I'm never having another cigarette. I'm not going to tolerate this in my life anymore.
Now, when you get to the gas station, what's arising in your head?
I think if you look at your actual choice points, you can say, I made a choice that day, and everything changed because of it. So even your thoughts then would become different.
Good awareness. Yes.